A very good evening and welcome once again to Terrace Talk. A beautiful evening in the town of Kerry. Let's hope it's the same for you wherever you are. Stay with us for the next 2 hours because tonight is a very special programme because we go live later on. Eamon Hickson, our producer, will be out and about and he's heading towards Licks now because we have the draw for the Kerry Senior Hurling Championship and proudly sponsored by Garvey Super Value. That's all to come later. Of course, I have Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in studios. We look back at the weekend's events in Iraqi-Kurdish, and later on the programme we'll be speaking to the first Iraqi-Kurdish refugee to win an All-Ireland medal, and that's very interesting. Some great stuff on social media over the weekend about that, and of course we'll be looking at the potential Super 8s, who will Kerry be playing or who might come through those qualifiers, and also we'll be speaking to Billy Lee, of course the Limerick senior manager, on the loss of his mother Mary, and of course I think they did a nice touch by the players the weekend, a presentation to him. And if you want to make any comment to us on tonight's show, you can call us on 066 7123 666, text on 083 300 3300, also on WhatsApp, Terrace Talk on Facebook, or tweet at Terrace Talk RK, Terrace Talk at radiokerry.ie. And I'm sure there was a lot of people in Páirc Uí Chaoimh seeing different things over the weekend. What do you think of our minors? They had a brilliant win, and really Cork put them to the test, and they beat them a couple of months ago up in Páirc Uí Reen. Well, now it was a different Cork team on this occasion, but Kerry came out with 2 wins, and that's where we start this evening. I want to welcome Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan to Terrace Talk. How are things, lads?
Evening, Tim.
Denny Long, Cork, they're coming closer all the time.
In the minor or the senior now?
Will we talk about seniors first?
Yeah, obviously Cork have improved. Last year they were beaten very heavily by Kerry by 16 points, and then in the qualifiers they went out to Tyrone by another 16 or 17 points. They had quite a poor league. They went down to Division 3. I think it's the first time ever Cork have been in Division 3, so it couldn't have got much worse. And in fairness, there was reports coming that, they were playing a lot of challenge games and they finished the league kind of certainly on a bit of a high. They got a few results. It didn't still avoid going down to Division 3, but they played a lot of challenge games, and, it's hard to know what way challenge games go because what kind of teams were they playing? They were playing big names, Dublin, Galway, and these teams were, what kind of teams did they field? We don't know. But on Saturday night they gave a great performance in the sense that they played with ferocious determination. There was a great will to win. They worked very hard. A lot of their players probably played exceptionally well. Some players who maybe there was a small bit of a doubt about at championship level, they proved that they can play at this level. The only thing that I would say is that I didn't think it was a great game. I thought that Cork were no way structured. I thought Kerry were strolling away in the first half, but when Cork got a couple of goals and they really had Kerry on the rack really when they drew level with them, I thought it was then that Cork needed to show a small bit of composure and a bit of structure. They didn't do it, and they took some very bad options. They had 3 or 4 very bad wides, which you can't give away at this level. And when I looked at it and said, why did that happen? And, you look at the stats. I'm not a great man for stats, but of the 8 players from number 8 to number 15 by Cork, Mark Collins was the only one who kicked 2 points from play. No other Cork forward kicked a point from play. And the difference in the end was that when Kerry made a few random attacks, they got scores, and they went 2 and 3 and 4 points ahead. The difference really was that Cork's score, point taking and kicking was very, very poor. If they can improve on that, they're certainly, after making strides, how big or how small we won't know until they play again. But in fairness to them, they gave a good account of themselves. I was impressed with them. I was encouraged to see that they played with a lot of spirit, and in fairness to the whole team and the management, hats off to them. Whereas it's a model victory in lots of ways. We don't know whether Kerry have come back down or have Cork improved. It's somewhere in between. Not a great game. Structure-wise, both teams were, Cork probably read in a lot into that. If you run at this particular Kerry team, you'll cause them problems. I thought they were running too much and doing a lot of aimless running, whereas if they steady down a bit, they may have shocked Kerry, and it would be a shock if they had closed the gap from last year.
Definitely so. John Kennedy, that's the Cork side of it by Denny, where he thinks they are at. Kerry, on the other hand, going back to that first half, a sluggish start by Cork. Kerry seemed to be in control in that first half.
Yeah, Tim, they were in control for most of it. You know, they were seemed to be quite comfortable. They were creating chances. You know, they were really kind of in second gear, I think, and they got some great scores. You know, again, Tim, you know, it was a victory. The real side of this Kerry team, I think, came out when Paul Ganey got his second booking. You know, we dug deep. And particularly like fellas like Stephen O'Brien and David Clifford, you know, they really raised the game then. Like I thought O'Brien took the game to Cork when it was needed. Shawnee Shea, you know, it was impressive the way we finished. But there are still question marks, Tim. It was a win. We're Munster champions and we're in the Super 8s and, you know, mission accomplished. But, you know, when teams run at us, that problem is still there. We have some fantastic footballers all over the field, particularly our defenders. We're not defending, we're attacking. You know, Tom Sullivan went up and got 1-1, showed some serious athleticism. You know, he left Paul Kerrigan in his wake at one stage, like, and he just pulled away from him, went into turbo and left him. You know, Paul Murphy, like Gavin White, we're attacking, but I think we've plenty of guys above. I think like David Clifford was starved of the ball, like. First time quality ball in. Paul Ganey.
He was getting good ball in the first half.
He was getting good ball in the first half, but it dried up. We're taking the ball on, we're running with it, and you need to do that as well. But I think just to get the balance right. But defensively, there are gaps there. There's an uncertainty in our defence. You know, the time of the hot ball when Connolly got his first goal. You know, that shouldn't be happening at this level. We have big men around there. They should have contested. The goalie should have been covered inside. There should have been men on the line. You know, Connolly tapped it into an empty net, and then you know Shane Ryan came out in another one when Tyg Marley and Hurley were grappling for the ball. He came out and look, he went out over the two boys and the ball ended up in the net. Look, we can't afford to be conceding scores like that. But look, we won the Munster title, and there are 7 or 8 young lads on that team. It is experience for them. Some question marks over our defence. Can we improve it? And you know, and this is I think where Donny Buckley will come in. You know, we saw with Mayo what he did. Take tough tackling, hard hitting, getting the hand in and continuously being touched close to players. We're not doing that, and we'll need to do it if we're going to continue in this championship.
Liam, John Kennedy says that we're attacking, not defending. Why are so many backs going to the other side of the field?
Yeah, look, I suppose, Tim, it has been said all since Saturday night about the Kerry defence. National newspapers, RT, they're all about it. I think it's not just one problem. It's not a centre back problem or it's not a wing back problem. I think defensively as a team we're not defending, and a lot of the problem is, like John said, is that we are attacking in numbers, and when it breaks down, we're struggling then. Like last day, the start of the game, Jack Sherwood held number 6. We're always hearing, fellas, we should get a stopper sent number 6. Get a stopper number 6. I think that day is gone. I don't think you can put a stopper in at number 6 anymore. Basically, Tim, if you have a stopper on Shawnee Shea is playing deep, and he's come up the field then. So if I'm attacking, the stopper is going to meet me, but who's marking Shawnee Shea? Who's marking the number 6? And that's where we're falling down the last year.
But is that a case in point then? Because you look back to yesterday's game between Dublin and Meath, and Jack Caffrey went up. He fisted the ball over the bar. He went at speed. He smiles. He plays with a smile on his face. Yeah. Then he went to ground. He got up. What was the first thing he did how close did you watch it yesterday?
What was
the first thing Jack did?
He started pointing back and telling fellas where to go.
Who's the cover?
Yeah.
But has he got a licence to go forward?
He has a licence to go forward.
But at the same time,
we have a licence to go forward as well, Tim. But we are not covering. Even if you.
But I have to go against you, because Keane O'Sullivan.
He doesn't go forward. He never goes forward.
He stays in the pocket.
He never goes forward.
But isn't he your centre back?
But the players around, we have no Keane O'Sullivan. The players, Keane O'Sullivan is a very intelligent footballer with very good defenders around him at the moment. Kerry at the moment, you can see the bit of youth and a bit of inexperience.
The centre back doesn't sit. That there's no room for him.
Not in this present. We don't have a player on the Kerry panel that can sit at centre back at the moment, because what's happening last day, we had Jack Sherwood was told sit the last time, but the centre forward
he
was pulled because he's man, because no one was covering his man, because everybody else was pointing fingers. I have him, you have him, and what happened then was you'd have two Kerry defenders running at the one man, and then Cork were creating the overlap. That's where it's coming. That's the point I'm getting to. We're not defending properly yet as a unit. I wouldn't go blaming a centre back, a stopper. You need to defend as a unit. But last day we struggled at midfield as well. So you had two midfielders powering through the middle. So that's not a centre. No matter how many stoppers you have centre back, you're not going to stop 4 and 5 fellas running at you. If two fellas
are we talking about communication solely?
A lot of it's down to communication. We have the footballers, but we seem to lose communication. There was one instance there in the first half where I know what was it, the Cork wing forward was coming in from the side. The two Kerry boys ran at him, and then a Cork fella just went in over the side. I think he actually blazed it. He got a free kick. He blazed it wide, but it was brought back for a free kick. So we're losing communication. It's not. I don't think we're going to solve this by putting a fella centre back and saying you sit there now for the game and do your job. We that's not going to, because when you have Gavin White bombing up the field, like for every one thing Gavin White does well, he does 2 bad things. Now I don't know if it's lack of match practice or what, but that's hurting our defence then, because you have Tom Sullivan up there. Tom Sullivan kicked 1-1. He's our corner back. So you always hear the things that if a defender is scoring, we have 2 defenders scoring, but at the same time the opposition are causing us trouble below.
Is that the wing forwards to go back then, if the likes of Tom goes forward, or Gavin?
And I think a lot of our problem, and it hasn't been said a whole pile, is Cork won midfield for me the weekend, and I think that put a lot of pressure on our full back line and our half back line as well. The only difference was, I think, at the end, and it proved it yesterday as well with Dublin and Meath, is that the Kerrys and the Dublins don't need 10 shots at goals to kick points. Their percentage rate of kicking scores is going to be a lot higher. If Cork could kick their scores, if Meath could kick their scores yesterday, the game would have been a lot closer. So I think it's just to tidy up things. We need to start communication and defending as a team. We're not defending as a team. What we're doing is we're pointing. If I'm pointing my finger at you and I'm saying to him, you take him, and next all of a sudden the 2 of us will run at the same man, and there's a fella coming through the middle. So it's just organisation.
Denny Long, centre back. Can we play with a special? Well, Liam is probably saying that we don't have a player of that calibre at this present moment. What's your take on that?
Well, I think, Tim, that the game has changed completely. Everybody agrees with that. But if the thing is that you must still defend to some extent. But I think the big problem that's happening with Kerry in particular is that they're all able to play football. They're all good footballers. But the problem is that nobody wants to defend. And you still need the game can be played a couple of ways, but you still have to have the head to know when to go and not to go. I think what may be happening, and I don't know now, this is totally guessing by me, is that the natural footballer is overcoached. If you get on a minor team and an under 20 team and a Kerry or a Cork inter-county team, you have something more than the average fella. So the one thing you must have to play at inter-county level is that you must be able to read the game well. And I think maybe that's taken away from players now. Every coach now, no matter whether it is Peter Keane or whoever it is, Mickey Hart, you name him, the Dublin manager, are they all saying it's A, B, C, D? And are Kerry playing the likes of Paul Murphy and Gavin White? Are they kind of saying, we can't do our own thing, we must do what we're told by the coaches? You can overcoach fellas well, but just take Gavin White as an example. Probably one of the fastest players you can see with the ball.
Correct.
With the ball, right? He tears up the field. Next thing, there's no end product. He's bottled up and he puts his hands on his head like a fella's that's saying to himself, did I make that mistake again? He's repeating that mistake over and over. Sure, we know he's a great footballer. We know he has plenty of pace. But Kerry should have a situation when he goes so far that he gives it and somebody coming around in the loop, or he taking a pass back and steadying up and kicking a score. But this thing that he does is he keeps going and going and going. Next thing, there's 3 or 4 players around him. The referee's going to blow the whistle if he don't get rid of it. He throws it in the ground and the advantage to Kerry is gone and the opposition have the ball back.
Comment after coming in here, Denny. Would Mark Griffin be an ideal number 6 stroke stopper?
I would have Mark Griffin playing wing back for Kerry if I had anything to do with the team. I think Mark Griffin is one of the better Kerry players, and I certainly would have him on my team if I was picky, and I'd either play him number 5 or number 7. I'm not so sure about number 6. I don't think I ever saw him playing that. But for me, he's either a 5 or a 7, and I don't think Kerry have better than him.
I'd have Gavin Crowley in there, Tim, because we need a guy that can read a game. Centre back is a guy that can read a game, whether to take up his man that's coming through or whether to take the guy that's coming from the opposite side. So I'd like Gavin, I think, is a very intelligent footballer, someone like that we're looking for.
Yeah, great stuff. And to our listeners out there, keep those comments coming through to us. We've plenty more after this break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie, leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
You're very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. I've got Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in studio as we look back at the weekend events in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Well, now, a runaway down the middle of the defence. That's what the former Tyrone star, Sean Kavanagh, said. This is what the former Tyrone player, we heard from him last night.
Not impressed, Des. If Kerry's in any other province, I don't think they're in the Super 8s right now. If you had asked me a month ago, you look at the brilliance of Clifford, you look at the brilliance of O'Shea, and you get excited about the forward line. But then you realise they've got a runway down the middle of their defence. Most of their defenders don't want to defend. They don't seem to have any sort of pattern or movement. They're not collectively working. Peter Crowley probably was the only mainstay of that defence, the linchpin that you're hoping was going to hold the whole thing together. He's now gone with the cruciate, and boy, that was evident last night. You have to look at the reality here. A Division 3 team possibly should have beaten them last night. The space that was in Páirc Uí Chaoimh was ridiculous. You don't get that in football nowadays. It was almost like a trial game or a challenge game. I know you have to give it to Cork, although I wouldn't totally buy that you have to give it to Cork, because Cork should be at that level. Cork should be competing for Munster titles, but not impressed.
Yeah, John Kennedy, that was Sean Kavanagh, and I know, we're going to take a lot of positives out of Kerry's performance as well, but I suppose the one thing that stood out, conceding goals, and we'll be hearing later on, Peter Keane mentioned in the press conference, because I was there myself, I think I asked him the question. Your thoughts on what Sean Kavanagh, is that too harsh?
I think it's a bit harsh, Tim. Look, we got to a league final with this team. We're Division 1 side, we got to a league final, and, to say that Cork are a Division 3 team, they shouldn't be down Division 3 in my book, And I was delighted to see Cork lifting their game, because Kerry and the GA in Munster and beyond needs Cork. You need them going well. You need your top team.
What about his comment about the runway?
Yeah, there is a certain merit in it, Tim. We know that. We have problems, but we still won the Munster Championship. There are problems in defence, like Liam said there, and Denny said about Gavin White. Gavin White is only a young fella, we're comparing these fellas to the likes of Jack McCaffrey and these. You look at the parade yesterday. Jack McCaffrey, it was the same as he was queuing going into the cinema, he was looking up at the crowd and he's smiling and laughing. That's experience. He was down after the run. He was pointing back to his men. That's composure and experience, and you don't get that. You have to go in and you have to make mistakes. And certainly we need to shore up the defence. I'd agree with the lads there. 6 is a specialised position. You have to have the centre closed. And I think in the early stages of the National League, our defence was very good. I think we closed the centre, we stopped the runners, we had Dara Moyne and then we had Diarmuid O'Connor back in the half-back line. We were allowing the guys go forward with cover behind. It doesn't seem to be happening. No, the game is faster, obviously, teams are fitter, and is that the reason? But certainly you'd have to be disappointed with the tackling and the covering of our defence. Now, Tadhg Morley inside at full back, you'd have to be happy with the way he played. I thought he did very well. I thought he did quite well. He blocked a certain goal from Mark Collins. That was a positive. Tom Sullivan was a positive in the amount of ball he was on, but he was attacking.
Well, you'd have to say that Tom Sullivan put, I suppose, Paul Kerrigan into his back pocket.
He did.
He was only chasing shadows.
There's no doubt about that, and Paul Murphy was disappointing. He wasn't really in the game, but he nullified his man. He wasn't on the ball a lot. We need Paul Murphy on the ball, those dashing runs out of defence, because he has the experience not to give it away and to find the man above. But look, at the end of the day, Tim, this is a team that's learning. We're in transition. We have some of the best forwards in the game once they get the ball. I mean, Shawnee Shea, David Clifford, Paul Gainey, who's not going through a good time at the moment. He's form, but he will come back. And Stephen O'Brien. O'Brien is flying at the moment. They should get the ball first time. Diarmuid O'Connor's another young lad that's learning it. But the midfield is a problem as well. And we've spoken about that all the year. David Moran is coming back from an injury, but Jack Barry, we'll need more from him.
Liam, and we keep referring back to the backs going up. Is it energy zapping for beat a cornerback like Tom? So I'm only just relating to, and likewise Gavin. So you run up the field and you're after doing a 60-metre run with the ball in hand, maybe getting a few shoulders on the way, but to get back to your position again, it takes a lot of energy out of it.
It takes a lot of energy, yeah. And even it hurt the Cork as well in the first half with the short kick outs. It takes a lot of energy to get the ball from the 20-yard line out to the halfway line. And I think defenders, you'll be hoping that they keep their legs maybe for the second half and stuff like that. But the only thing, I don't mind fellas going forward, and the likes of the Gavin Whites and these fellas, if there's an end product and if they're cover behind. But we can't have 2 and 3 fellas bombing up the field and our defenders and our 2 midfielders with them, that they all move up and then we have spaces. I thought our full back line did reasonably well. I thought Ty Morley had a very good game last for the pressure that was on him. And getting back to Sean Kavanagh's point there, Tyrone only beat Longford by 4 points. Mayo only beat Down by 5 points, and Armagh beat Monaghan. So the division thing doesn't stand up. Doesn't stand for me, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Those comments coming through to us. Pat would like to ask the panel: are we fielding our best 15 players available to us, and where has Shane Murphy gone? A nice one for you, Denny.
Yeah, I think obviously Kerry are putting out their best 15. They have 35 or whatever it is training over in Corns or in Killarney. If you take Peter Kane, his management, or any management, this new system we have, in the sense that the manager now is, if you like, he's like a paid top man in English soccer. So the manager is under pressure for results. So Peter Keane and his management are looking and have been looking for the best players in Kerry, and they're not leaving any fella back in South Kerry or West Kerry or North Kerry or East Kerry or any place. If there's a good footballer anywhere, they'd have him. The problem with Kerry, as I see it, is that Kerry are, if you like, still trying to come to terms with this new game. This new game, there's no position. Everyone is moving. Tom Sullivan was Kerry's leading scorer from cornerback. Unheard of. He got 1-1. So the point I'm making, 2 things. The new game is certainly seemed to be still a bit new to Kerry, if that's possible. And the other thing, Kerry just don't have the quality players that they've had over the last 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years. They just don't have that extra bit of quality. And if you don't have that extra bit of quality, your lesser and newer players find it harder to shine because they're under more pressure. If you had 3 or 4 top class players in Kerry at the moment, it would be easier for the new fellas to blend in. Right. But now the new fellas are expected.
They're all coming together.
Correct.
Another comment, Tim, the goalkeeper situation is costing Kerry at least a goal a game. I don't blame Shea Ryan. He doesn't play in goal with his club. Management won't change it, but it will cost us again, and that comes from James. What do you think of that, John Kerry?
Yeah, you'd have to say, Tim, that he made a decision at the last day to come for the ball, and he didn't connect. And it's a lonely place to be when a goalie makes a mistake.
I suppose when a goalkeeper comes like that, he should be taking man ball.
He should, yeah. And
but Shane will learn from this.
Well, look, Tim. To me, I thought Shane Murphy was our number one keeper. I think he's a superb keeper, kick outs, and he's agile and he's a shot stopper. But Shane Ryan is in there, and Merritt, look, and Brian Kelly is the sub goalie at the moment, and we're not halfway with what's happening inside in training. Like Denny said, every management team, they want to put out the best team. It's a difficult one to call. You have 3 keepers, you have to pick 2. Shane Ryan is in there at the moment, and if you don't make a mistake, you'll level 11. He made a similar mistake in the league final against Mayo, and when you make a mistake as a goalie or a cornerback, if you slip, it's punished. If you make a mistake above at the other end and you kick it wide, well, you have another chance afterwards. So it's to say, look, the management team, every selector to sit down to pick a team, he puts out the best 15 in his estimation at that particular time. Whoever's going well in training, that's what's happening. We've seen the changes by Peter Kane and his selectors. Some of them are working, others aren't, and I think you have to look at the subs that came on. I thought Gavin Crowley had a big impact in the game when he came on to him the last day. He's a great awareness, he's great composure on the ball, and he's great. He's an athlete. I know, and also, like, I thought that Mark Griffin and Michael Burns, they all added to it. So there is competition for places in there. But look, the 15 usually is picked on merit and training, Tim.
Those comments are keep flying into us tonight. Hello lads, Kerry won the game even with a number of young lads, another just back from injury. Did Peter ask for patience? They do not go out and lose. Ignore Tomás O'Shea on national TV. Leave it to the manager and his team, a true supporter. That's a fair enough comment, Liam, but like for argument's sake, and I keep reiterating that this is a sports chat show. You're talking about what guys on the street are talking about. You have to discuss. You can't say everything is right in the world, and even Peter knows that himself, that you have to discuss, the game in detail, and that's what we're doing here tonight, and that's no different to what they were doing the Sunday game.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, we all, like you said, we all know it's a young Kerry team. Like, we had no James O'Donoghue the weekend. We played probably the last 20 minutes with 14 men. And the one good thing, we got a result, and we never panicked. So that'll lead to experience for the boys. And most of all, Tim, don't know what it'll do. It'll calm our expectations a small bit, because it's still out there. People still think that we're going to win an All-Ireland. Right? With Kerry now at the moment have to take one game at a time. Let's get to an All-Ireland final, but we have to get one game at a time, and
that's the way the management.
And that's the management. Yeah, I bet with Peter Keane and same with our minor management the weekend. They were delighted. They would have came away with a point win, because it was their first Munster final. There were new management teams, new young fellas coming through. So they didn't mind if they were going to win by a point or 20 points, but we'll take the victory.
And I did that press conference, a number of other journalists did it as well, with Peter Keane. And Peter here responds to that question about Cork's goal scoring attempts in the post-match press meeting.
I suppose it's just something we're going to have to look at. Like, you look at, what was it, 310? Was that 310 to 119 with the final score, was it? Like, you look at that and say 13 scores to 20. Like, you look at 13 scores to 20, you'd say you'd be happy, But it's just the goal scoring opportunities. We've got to stop them. But if you look at some of them in the first half in particular, there were opportunities that came from us not killing the ball above, and then they had an overlap coming against us. But I think some of the opportunities they actually didn't get off because we recovered and got bodies in the way.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie, leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
You're very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. I've Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in studio. Of course, later on in the programme we'll have the draw for the Garvey Senior Hurling Championship here in Kerry. Eamon Hickson will be making his way out to Lixnaw, and we'll be going live to Eamon. Hopefully he'll be having a word with one or two people involved in that draw. And of course, Garvey Super Value, by the way, of Tralee, Dingle, Listowel and Castle Island, want to make 2019 a summer to remember for their customers. Everyone knows that Kerry football is a big part of every Kerry summer, so Garvey's would like to give one family a chance to create a special memory. Over the next few weeks, Garvey Super Value will be giving one family a chance to attend a Kerry football training session with a picnic hamper provided by Garvey Super Value. So you go into Garvey's, you purchase those goods, you write your name on the receipt and drop that receipt into the draw box, and it'll be drawn here on Radio Kerry. That's all to come. And of course, later on, as we said, we'll be going to that draw, and we'll also hear from, Leitrim. Well, Leitrim's great win, the first Iraqi-Kurdish refugee to win an All-Ireland medal. And those comments coming through to us. Hi, Tim. Kerry show great character to put over a few points whenever Cork got within touch and distance. They are a young team and will need timely and will come good, but we've got to be patient. That comes from Charles. Mike from Fiery says, a lot of Kerry defensive problems stem from not winning the game around the middle third. It's amazing that your panel and the smart bucks on the Sunday game don't give Clare and Cork any hope whatsoever. Tom Randall says there's a great man back west who would do a lot of help to Kerry around the middle. His name is Rob O'Shea. He put on an exhibition during the recent Comortas. Caller was at the match on Saturday and said they saw Tommy Walsh was listed on the programme under the number of 21 as a sub. The caller said there was no sign of him in the warm-up. So was he even there? What did the panel think of putting Tommy Walsh at full back? And that comes from Jor. What do you think of that, Liam Brosnan?
Jeez, Tim, I think that would be a big call now, just to be putting Tommy in full back for the championship that he hadn't played there. Like, Tommy hasn't played full back even for his club, so that will never happen. I know if the boys beside me have, I could never see that happening anyway.
John Kennedy, somebody is coming in here and two texts to us tonight about Tommy. His dad, of course, went from midfield, as you know well, back into the full back slot. Mark, a colleague of this man's, the great Christy Ryan, if my memory serves me well.
That's right. No, I agree with Liam. I couldn't see Tommy I don't think he ever played in a defensive role. He might cause trouble at the other end of at number 14, maybe. All right.
Could he have been brought on around the middle of the last day?
Well, being honest with him, I don't actually think he was tugged out. Looking at him afterwards, I thought he had a bottom of the tracks with him. I didn't think he had boots on him. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe there might be an
Maybe I'm wrong.
We might get clarification on that. Denny, what's your thought on a guy from normally known as being a full forward or operate around the middle of the park to stick him back full back? I don't think we need a full back, do we? Tadhg Morley, I'd be happy enough with Tadhg Morley.
Yeah, Tadhg Morley played reasonably well, in fairness to him, I suppose. When you look at the goal that was punched, it was a good flick by Hurley. Maybe the goalie should have come and taken the ball. He possibly should have. But by Tommy Welsh, I doubt very much if the Kerry selectors with the Super 8s coming up are going to throw Tommy Welsh in. Now, they'll be playing Donegal. We know that. It's a certainty, right? Now, would you put Tommy Welsh on Murphy and say, look, built away with him for, Kerry did it in 2014. In fairness, he had Manny, and Manny was a very good footballer, but on that particular All-Ireland final 2014, Murphy didn't get much change out of him because he stuck with him. It was a job, but my honest opinion, Tommy Welsh will not play as a full-back for Kerry.
Hi Tim, Kerry do too much soloing with the ball instead of kicking and letting the ball work. If they are opened up at the back, they will let in goals. Kerry is the only county to concede so many. That comes from Trelly Collar. Gaelic football is a game of instinct and there's no room for sweeper system. Now they keep flying into us. Lads, number 1, Thomas Sullivan was a wing back for the whole of the game on Kerrigan and not a cornerback. Paul Murphy was cornerback on Conley. Number 2, I don't think the Kerry backs attacking was a big problem. Look at the 3 goals. None of them came from counter-attacks. One came from a hot ball, one from a long Cork kick out which was not dealt with properly, and the last one from a goalkeeping effort. Sean in Killarney. Liam?
Yeah, I'd agree with the listener there. The goals, like Sean Kavanagh with the runway down the middle, the goals didn't come from fellas flying down the middle. I think the 2 of the goals were probably goals that shouldn't have happened. Like Shane Murphy's one, he should have learned from his Mayo final. Like anything outside the box, he should be letting it to the full back and the cornerbacks. Their first goal, the one with the hot ball, we were just like a bunch of under 10s. When the ball was thrown up, all our defenders just looked up and started watching the ball, and they forgot about their men, and Cork got the 2 vital touches. So they were silly goals, to be honest, Tim, to be given away. But at the same time, it's if you take them 2 goals off the scoreline, Kerry would have been very comfortable. I think just by a couple of mistakes we left Cork in the game. At the same time, I do think we were, when we needed to step up, we always pushed on and kicked a few points. I think that told near the end. We for the last 20 minutes we were down to 14 men, and we were still able to clock out. Even when Cork put under pressure, we were still able to go up and kick points.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate the under-17s and the seniors on winning the Munster Championship. I have to highlight the negativity and criticism following the senior game by former Kerry footballer on the Sunday game last night. I thought it was very over the top and very unfair on his younger players as they're still trying to find their feet at senior level. Everyone knows he has a problem at the back, but it must be given time. You'd think that we'd lost the game instead of winning with 14 men. Mossy, what do you think of that, John Kennedy?
Yeah, you see, Tim, criticism has to be balanced, in fairness, and it's like us in here tonight, we can say everything is great, we won, but you point out areas you need to improve on. If we want to win an All-Ireland, Tim, and if we want to get into the All-Ireland semi-final or final, there are areas we need to improve on. The defence, you certainly need to improve on it. The structure, maybe more than the personnel. And to defend, you need fellas attacking too. Dublin do it, and they do it very, very well. But they have huge experience, Tim. They're going for 5 in All-Irelands. We have young fellas coming off of the back of winning 5 minor All-Irelands. So there's a huge difference. And the step up, people out there's an expectation around the streets that we're going to win the All-Ireland. We're the team to stop Dublin. Maybe we are. But the fact that you win minors doesn't mean you're going to be winning seniors straight away. It's a transition. It's a huge step up. And the physicality is the big one. We have natural footballers. We hold our own with any team in the country, skill-wise. We can kick left and right. We have all the skills going, but we need to build up. And we will build up, and we will be there. And we're not here to criticise him. And Tomás O'Shea, there's no better Kerry man than Tomás O'Shea. He didn't get any satisfaction in criticising. He pointed out where the areas were, and that we defensively, that will not do if we want to go on and compete with the best. And the best at the moment are Donegal, Dublin, Mayo, Tyrone.
And there's no one knocking Kerry here. You're just talking about a situation or a game. There's no one knocking individuals.
No.
We're just pointing out the way everybody that came out of the Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Saturday evening were saying that, look, we defensively, things didn't go according to plan.
Absolutely, and we got a league final team and we were beaten and we were shown up in areas and we won a Munster championship and we were shown in different areas again. And one of your listeners there, Tim, said that we weren't giving credit to Clare and Cork. I'm sick and tired of talking about Clare, how well they're playing. They're punching above their weight and they could get into the Super 8s. And Cork,
and we give credit to
Cork. We're delighted to see Cork
outset.
coming on, and I think they have improved hugely. And they brought in a guy, Taylor, they're killing O'Hanlon in the middle of the field. These guys, they stood up and they took the game to Kerry the last day. So you have to give credit to the opposition as well. And we're happy where we're at, but we want more. That's why we're Kerry. We want more.
Do you feel that Kerry are holding something in reserve?
I don't, Tim. No, I don't think they are. I think that we're there's no reserve here. I think that, the personnel may change, for the Super 8s, but I think that you have to give credit to the lads. They're trying different guys in different positions. Obviously they're looking at down the road, but look, there's nothing to be held. Who's being held? I don't see it. I think that the panel we have is what we have.
But even a system-wise, don't we watch Donny Buckley above in Mayo?
Yeah.
And the tackling, we're saying that they hunted in packs, went aggressive at it. Can we see that with Kerry at present?
Not at the moment, and we were excited here, Tim, about it when Donny Buckley was coming on board because he did a superb job with Mayo. Now, he had guys that were longer down the road than Kerry. We'll have to say that. He had physicality, and he certainly brought...
It took time.
Yeah, and they played on the edge. Our defence are not playing on the edge. We have some superb footballers, but it'll take time, and I have no doubt if they're given that time, they will get there.
Denny Long, somebody mentioned it earlier today, I don't know which programme I heard, that Kerry, and he mentioned, I won't say personnel, more positional changes and maybe personnel as well, that a lot of people are calling for Sean O'Shea to be in the middle of the field for Kerry because he's a natural ball player, and maybe the likes of Gavin O'Brien, the Strand Road man, in the middle with him, guy that has a lot of pace, raw strength. And could you see changes like that, or are they dramatic changes?
Well, at this stage, Tim, they probably won't be dramatic changes because, Kerry have been through a full league and got to the league final, were beaten by Mayo, played Clare, won easy enough. Again, like the lad said there, when Kerry were down to 14 men Saturday evening, they didn't panic. Cork didn't take the chances that were presented to them. When Kerry got the chances, they took them. Now, I don't think there'll be big changes. Playing Sean O'Shea in the middle of the field, I wouldn't see anything wrong with it. I think, he's an all-round good footballer, 20 years of age. What's left now when Kerry are playing in the Super 8s, they'll be all big, tough, strong men, experience. You'll have Dublin, Donegal, possibly Galway, possibly Tyrone, Kildare. They're all going to be very big. He probably is not ready to play in the middle of the field. Tis a tough old position to play for a young fella. Maybe that's what they'll do next year at the start of the league. Throw him in there, he'll be more developed. That's a big call for Kerry. They probably won't change too much, Tim, is my opinion.
Denny, a few years back there was a call by a certain individual for David Moran to play centre back. What's your thoughts on that?
Never tried. He's a huge presence of a man. In fact, I would have to say this about him, that in the last 10 or 15 minutes in Cork the last night, he probably controlled what Kerry were doing because he had...
He's very cute.
Yeah, he had the experience, he had the know-how, he had the strength, he got the ball, he held it, he won ball, and if you like, he showed what he could do. Could you play him centre-back? You possibly could, because he's a great brain for the game, and if you have a good brain and a good head for the game, you could do a lot of damage at centre back because he would be doing things, he'd be doing most of the things right. What more would you want? I wouldn't say anything wrong with playing him there.
Very interesting. We're going to struggle if we don't win 40% of possession at the middle of the field. As a result of losing midfield, it creates pressure on the backs. Can Kerry fans get the finger out and show up, not only in Killarney, but wherever we play? And our team needs us. That comes from John and Tralee. What do you think of I know, going off on another tangent, the supporter side of it, that are we getting the numbers out there, Liam?
I suppose the weekend it was disappointing. All right, even sitting above, looking out at it. I turned to my father before the game. I suppose a half an hour before the game, and I said, "Is there anyone going to show up to this game?" Even for the minor game, there was a lot of empty seats for the minor game, and it didn't really fill that much either for the senior game. So it's great that we're the Kerry supporters. Everyone you meet is talking about Kerry football, but they'd probably have to get out and support them as well for the. Now Saturday, I suppose it's a hard one. Saturday evening game. You'd wonder, did Croke Park give a damn about the Munster final? Did they think it was going to be just a one-stop
But is that,
game?
I
again,
always ask Liam, is that a lazy excuse? Because we said if it was on Sunday, then they'd say, "Oh, sure, that's a foregone conclusion. Kerry will win it." Are these lazy excuses that we're saying it's 7 o'clock in the evening, we have to get out of Páirc Uí Chaoimh after?
Well, they're not really, Tim, because look, realistically, Kerry, like if you were not really up in your football and you were a Kerry supporter, like you were looking at Kerry beat Cork last year by 17-18 points. Then they're hearing that Cork are going down to Division 3. So, and it's €40 a ticket. So if you're a family man, you're at home, you're not going to make on a Saturday evening with farmers having to milk cows and stuff like that. You can make all the excuses you want, but that's realistic. So I think that hurt.
But are we saying
the game's on TV then as well.
Cows are milked as well on a Sunday. Is it a lazy excuse to we say that look, Kerry will win easily, which they didn't? Or that, the supporter thing, because we've heard over the last, Mikey Sheehy mentioned it last year, was it? Likewise, Kieran Donaghy, he was on with me here one night, that asking, look, it's like an extra man having our supporter. And, we all have an opinion there in football.
When things go against you, to hear the noise.
But you need your support, don't you?
Yeah. And I think that's where it's going to be vital, probably above in the Super Race against Donegal. We are going to have a crowd in Clarny, looking like Galway or whoever Galway don't beat. So Donegal, the game above in Croke Park, that's when we'll see where the supporters will come out.
Should Kerry play a sweeper, or how do they sort the defensive problem? We kind of gone through that, haven't we, John? We were saying that maybe communication and build on that.
Yeah, I think, Tim, and the more they play together, Tim, and maybe change around the personnel, maybe a little bit of the position more than anything, and covering back. I think we've covered on this, that when guys attack, just to cover at the back and not let a gap into our full forward line. Some of your listeners said there the goals didn't come from it, but we were under pressure a number of occasions, and we did get back and turn over Cork, in fairness. But it's something that we have to look at. We will be punished down the road if the gaps are left there.
Now we're going to change disciplines for a second. Of course, Leitrim captain Declan Malloy, he delivered a memorable speech after the Lowry Maher Cup final victory yesterday.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie. Leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
Indeed, you're very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. I have Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in studio. Of course, before we went to the break, we played the speech by the Leitrim captain on their memorable win. Now, the first Iraqi-Kurdish refugee to win an All-Ireland medal, Zak Moradi, is an Iranian Kurd who was born in Iraq, lives in Tallaght and trains in Mullingar and hurls with Leitrim. On Saturday, Moradi was sprung from the bench and scored a point to help Leitrim win that Lowry Maher Cup triumph. And I should have Zak on the line. Good evening, Zak.
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Of course, you're very welcome to Terrace Talk. Zak, can I ask you, where did it all start as far as hurling is concerned for you?
It all started in primary school. I was in 6th class. It was actually one of the lads, Clement, that we're friends with now. He was kind of a part-time club coach in Leitrim at the time, and he was going around the schools like a GPO. And that's where it all started there, when he arrived with a bag of hurls and helmets, and he just, was showing us how to hurl and all that. So that's where it all kicked in from there.
And what was the appeal for you? This is our traditional game here. Was it something that you wouldn't have seen before, or?
No, I'd never seen it anything like it before. It was just the first time I ever seen a hurling in a splitter. So it was just a weird. I just didn't know what type of sport it was. I was just like looking at everybody else, see what they were doing, and Clement was coaching and showing us how to hit the ball and pick the ball up, and it was kind of more kind of underground hurling at primary school,
What was it like then for you being involved in the game, being involved in a national game here? It's called the fastest game in the world, outfield, says he. What was it like being involved and the game itself, the skill needed to play it?
Yeah, there's a lot of skills in it, and it's very fast, and I like a challenge. So I picked up Gaelic very quick, kicking and solo and left and right. Gaelic was much easier to pick up, so I started playing Gaelic. But then I was trying to, at the time as well, I was trying to learn English as well. I couldn't speak a word of English either, so it was very hard to understand what Clement was saying either. It was just kind of just watching, and then it was just kind of. And then he gave me a hold and a slitter, and then from there on I just, brought it home and just practiced it, and, he showed me skills. So I kind of kicked in there, and then I just fell in love with hurling. It just, because I found it hard to hit the ball, it took me 2-3 years to get used to, practice hitting the ball and running with it and all that, because it's just very skillful. Gaelic is a lot easier to pick up.
And when you look at your own involvement with Leitrim then as well, that you look at the weekend, what they have achieved, and I suppose it's got national status now, and they got the attention of all the media and people out there. It was a massive win for Leitrim.
It was, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't know if there's hurling in Leitrim. There's always been hurling in Leitrim for the last 100 years or whatever years it is, and there's a lot of good men up there that put in a lot of work into the hurling down there. But, you never see that, obviously, and there's a lot of violence that goes on, and it's always the same people that keep trying to keep the hurling going in Leitrim. So there's actually a lot more kids playing hurling in Leitrim than there was probably 5-6 years ago. And
so this will give it massive profile as well, Zach?
Yeah, this would give it a massive profile. So we have, in the last couple of years, there's been under 13, 15, 17 teams, and this Celtic Tiger, they've started running the last couple of years, and they're actually working out for Leitrim hurlers because they get to play at their own level under 17. They get to play against Longford, Sligo and all that at their own level, which there wasn't that before. It used to be like a Connacht Iron Championship. All they could have played Leitrim or could have bet them by 50 points. The way it just wasn't working. But this new Celtic under 17 is working perfectly because we're getting 3 or 4 lads every year, and it's building the panel.
Very much so. And Zach, of course, I know that you have a training session coming up with Thomas Davids at 7 p.m. You're still plying the trade and showing your coaching skills as well?
Oh, well, I have to give something back, because, that's the way. Well, to be honest, my life's just kind of, I'm all around the GA the whole time, It's always, I'm coaching or I'm playing myself or, or I'm up the club at the bar. Even if I'm going for a few points, like down in Thomas Davids GA club, it's always the same people around, It's like a family, It's just a great setup and a great organisation.
Yeah, it's a great community. Zach, we want to wish you the very best, and thanks for coming on Terrace Talk this evening. And we'll be looking out for you in the future now. We have the name, your household name.
All right, thanks very much.
Great stuff. And of course, that's Zak Moradi, of course, the first Iraqi-Kurdish refugee to win an All-Ireland medal. Those comments coming through to us. Sorry to disagree with Denny, but in my opinion, the game has not changed that much. Mark O'Shea was bombing forward from the cornerback over 10 years ago. What's wrong if we haven't won the midfield battle in the championship game outside of Munster in over 3 years, Denny? I can't believe that anyone could disagree with you.
Yeah, it's no problem disagreeing. But what I'm saying is, Mark O'Shea was bombing forward. There was 4 or 5 other backs of top class quality. That's what I'm saying. Is that Kerry just don't have that top class players that they had for. Always, it's a tradition in Kerry that they always have 3 or 4 top class backs. Midfield was always huge by them, and then they had always plenty of forwards to put the ball over the bar. So of course Mark O'Shea was bombing up the field, but I guarantee you they weren't conceding soft goals at the back.
And those small comments coming through us. Hi lads, Kerry could have done with the likes of Seamus Scanlon at midfield. That comes from Jason in Cordell. Why is Shane Enright sitting on the bench when needed to shore up the defence? Now I quickly go to you on that, John.
Yeah, I suppose, look, Shane played over in Clare, Tim, and there was a few changes made for this game. I've no doubt he's in the mix, and could very well be back, because he's a natural defender, and Shane came in for a lot of unfair criticism, I think, over his marking of Andy Moore a number of years ago. I think he's suffering from that all the time, because he was one of our most consistent defenders throughout. He was always a marker on the main man in the opposition, and you know, you're under pressure, but I've no doubt that Shane in it will play a part. You know, he's on the squad. He didn't get a game the last day, but I've no doubt he will. And just one other thing there, Tim, Denny mentioned it a while ago, David Moran had a huge influence in the last 15 minutes. David Moran is our most experienced player, and that kind of sums it up. Experience is what you need when in the cauldron of a Munster final. That comes with time. You cannot fast track that. Experience is gained over a period of time.
Yeah, and there was more comments going through. It's the media who have to talk about the games, and it's the media who are putting on the pressure. I go to all games. Kerry are where they are, and a real supporter knows we are building, and we are not next or near Dublin. Listener said he drove past Corns at the weekend, and he said he saw the Kerry flag flying at half-mast. Only for Sean O'Shea, Kerry would be lost. He is some free taker. What else is there? James asks if the first foul on Clifford was in the square after about 30 seconds. Why was Peter Keane so happy with himself after the match? We scraped the win against a Division 3 side. Those comments, keep them coming through to us. We'll now take a break for the news.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie. Leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
Very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. Of course, we'll have the draw for the Garvey Super Valley County Senior Hurling Championship later on. The championship will be launched at 7 at Lixnaw Club Rooms, with the draw to follow at 7:30. Round 1 is down to be played on the weekend of July the 6th/7th. Those comments coming through to us. Tell Tim and the lads to cop on. We need to bring a big lad from North Kerry, train them and make shape out of them. That comes from Jor in Kinmare. John Kennedy, you have to cop on.
About big men in North Kerry, John.
I tell you, Tim, to be fair about it, and there's been quite a discussion over the last number of weeks of who's outside there that should be brought in or could be brought in. To be fair to the selectors, I think there are many fellas out there now that you could bring in that would improve things. Now, one guy in North Kerry that he's under 20 is Barry Mahoney. I believe he's injured at the moment. Another guy with
fine footballer,
huge potential. And you know, your man Sullivan down in Kinmare, like he's on the under 20s as well. I think another fine footballer. But look, they are with the under 20s, Tim. I think that the selectors have trawled the county. I think the best panel is in there at the moment, and just to get the best 15 out of that. And you know, to me, I'm out in North Kerry long enough, Tim, I don't see any guy of that calibre that has been left out. Maybe Michael Foley in Ballydunhoe, Jason's brother. He's a big strong guy. I think he's in with the juniors as well. But other than that, Tim, I don't think there's many out there, being honest.
Definitely, and I'm sure that everybody is given their fair chance. The rest of those comments, why was Darragh playing so far back in the half back and full back line? Playing Sean O'Shea at midfield brings back memories of playing Seamus Moynihan there too. That comes from Tom in Knocknagoshel. What makes Dublin great is their forwards can defend, their backs can score. Kerry are the closest to doing this. Saturday's experience will work wonders for them. You have to give Cork some respect. Their weaknesses is on scoring points. A Kerry man living in Cork says we need the likes of Seamus Moynihan and Declan O'Sullivan if we want to have a chance of winning All Ireland. Liam, talk to me about the goals conceded. No, I've heard enough about going down through the centre of our defence, but one of those goals coming from the hot ball.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Tim, it looked to me, and even when I saw it on TV after, you know, it just that the Kerry defenders just switched off. Everyone was standing beside their markers, and next thing the ball was just thrown in the air, and everyone it was like an airplane flying over the sky. All the Kerry boys just looked up. Cork got the tip, and it was a Dean that got the ball, and he just passed it across the Conley. So it was bad defending. Like
everyone seemed to be pulled in where the ball was.
Exactly, and like even in basketball, side you're always taught to be a defensive side of the basket. You know, and Kerry just didn't do that last day. No, like even if Cork won the hot ball, it should have been a point. It should have been pushed out to the 21, maybe 30-yard line. But there's no way that from a hot ball like that defensively you should be set up properly. That if it does break down, that it's not going to be a goal. And I think we just fell asleep in that one.
And of course, with the goal that we said, we spoke about it already actually, that you know when the two boys went for it, and so did Shane Ryan, went into the back of the net. What about the run for the penalty?
Yeah, it was a great run. It showed again, Tim, our weakness when teams run at us. They ran at us, there was no choice but to foul him. And a super penalty by Luke Conley, you know, and Shane Ryan almost got it. picked the right side, which was a superb strike. But when teams are, and it's a thing that's coming up with a lot of teams at inter-county level. Yeah. Is the problem with the tackle more than maybe the defending? It's something that has to be looked at. How can you tackle a guy when he's running at you? If you don't,
especially a big guy at pace, it's very hard to stop.
If you don't stop him at source, when he gets ahead,
once they get momentum,
yeah, it's a foul then or it's a score. You can't stop him.
And that goes back, Dina, without fear of repeating ourselves again, it goes back to stoppers. When that ball comes off midfield breaks, that fella, that holding centre back, should be making it tough enough for you.
Yeah, well, you see, like John is saying there, like in the old days,
What's your description of a centre back?
Well, I think.
And forget about this modern systems.
Yeah,
but
I think
the old style centre back. What did he do?
I think a centre back has really to protect his backs, and I think the centre back must be a holding player in the sense that he must be able to read it. Now, he may not be centre back all the time, but if Paul Murphy or Gavin White go up the field, that centre back is able to call him back. Full back and centre back are two vital positions. Your full back, your corner backs make a full back, because if the full back has the licence to go and get up and catch the ball, he knows that his two cornerbacks are there to protect him. If you take the ball that went in the last day between Morley and Hurley, right, there was no cornerback inside. There was no cornerback there. Now, okay, you can blame Shane Ryan that he didn't come and whip the ball away. He's a huge big man. But your two cornerbacks, now, your centre-back then, if he's holding, that he's making sure that his two wing-backs aren't going up the field. And the centre-back must be a good reader of the game. And that's my opinion.
Liam, I'd be the other side. I'm hugely positive about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's being honest, because I think, look, we use the youthful side of it, and these guys are developing, and that rather than a landslide victory over Cork, that, you know, we know now where Kerry are at. Kerry know what they have to do. Kerry could give this thing a right run. The only word we mentioned tonight was communication, because we're saying that maybe we don't have the centre back of old, the old style centre back. So now Kerry have devised a system, and they hope that it would improve all the time.
Look, Tim, any team that has the forwards of the calibre that Kerry have, you're always going to be there and thereabouts. So, like, scoring is going to win games for you. So, if we can defend, like I said, getting back to our centre-back argument again, I do think it's just communication. A centre-back, we need a guy that can read the game, an intelligent footballer centre-back, because at the moment, our centre-backs are being pulled and dragged out of the middle at times for no reason whatsoever. And what's happening is, and it's not the boy's fault, it's basically he's following his men, but either our wing-back or our midfielder then is not tracking, and it's looking as if the middle is wide open. Where's our centre back? Our centre back is marking his man. So we need an intelligent centre back that's going to hold the centre. If the centre forward is running down the wing and he's no danger, I'm still going to hold. I'm going to hold, and you hold for so long. Seamus Moynihan was a genius at it. Like, Seamus would never follow you over to the corner flag or the sideline. No, he'd always hold the middle. But the minute you got the ball in the sideline, then he was there in front of you. You know, he was just magically appear in front of you. He was yeah. But then again, there were different times. You had very good footballers and experienced footballers. The game has changed. But even if you look at our defenders there, Tim, and even Shane Ryan, there's no experience there. You know, we have to earn that. We have to build that. Like Gavin White, Jack Sherwood, Paul Murphy, Jason Foley, Ty Morley, Tom Sullivan, Shane Ryan. Like, when you look at that on paper, you say, Jesus, they're...
And experience don't come by way of an injection.
No, you learn from these games, and especially, and it's great when you can get experience by winning. You know, because at least you'll say, right, well, I have a Munster medal in my back pocket now. I know the mistakes I'm after making, and the most important thing, the management now.
Yeah, definitely so. Lads, if you put on your headphones there, we're going to our phone lines, because we've the manager of the Limerick football team on the line, of course, Billy Lee, of course, Limerick senior manager, speaks about the loss of his mother, Mary Lee. She was heavily involved with the GA in the county, and the Limerick seniors paid tribute to her in the recent days. Good evening, Billy.
Good evening, Tim.
You're very welcome to Terrace Talk.
Thanks very much.
Well, Billy, I've seen a lot of it, and so I read about it in a paper, and I've seen it on social media. This woman was one great supporter.
She was. Look, I mean, she was at the interests of team she'd follow, and the players within that team at heart. And you know, she was renowned for going into dressing rooms after games. She'd bring her bag of sweets, and it was our way of just thanking people for their efforts and they, you know, doing the best they can. And it was just a little small thing, but she was renowned for that. And it's because she basically had time for people, and you know, the ladies were trying to do the best. So yeah, that was her way, and
it was
encouraging.
It was well acknowledged. The Limerick seniors paid tribute to her in recent days.
They did. Look, it was an unexpected surprise in the dressing room after the game. You know, but I suppose, look, it's probably a measure of the people they are. You know, yeah, it was greatly appreciated, and obviously when the rest of the family heard the story, you know, there were, you know, a lot of people, their family members were really honoured and, you know, privileged that man was recognised in that way. So look, it was a lovely gesture, and sometimes, you know, we don't see these things. The GA brings an awful lot of support to families over the years in a lot more tragic circumstances than we've experienced.
But still, it was still a lovely touch. Billy, can I ask you about the Limerick setup? You know, you were saying that maybe the first round game gave a tough game to the opposition, but then it didn't go your way after that. I suppose a lot of talk is about a 2-tier system or a 2nd-tier system. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I think at this stage it's the way it has to go. I think if you look at more sports, it is in that space. Everyone, you know, if you take the Heineken Cup and the rugby, it's got the Challenge Cup as well, the different divisions in the soccer, even the different championships, Europa leagues and all that. That's the way sport is going. So I just think it's a natural progression. You know, I suppose as an organisation, we discuss and debate things for many years before we kind of accept our fate, and but that's fine too. Look, I just think it's important. The Munster Championships, I suppose at the moment, you know, the Leinster Championship seems to be a foregone conclusion. Ulster is always competitive. Connacht is in good place. But look, in Munster, it seems to be ourselves mostly. It was good to see Cork come back being competitive, and you know, Clare and Tip were putting up performances there for the last number of years, and that would help it. But look, ultimately, the same teams always come to the top, and they have been for the last 30 years, so something has to change. But
it's the dream of every young player, Billy, you know, to hold the Munster Cup or the All-Ireland Cup. Would a manager get the same commitment from players if they were playing in a lower tier?
Yeah, but look, I suppose if I just talk about Limerick, lads getting involved in Limerick, you can be sure they're not thinking, I'm going to win an All-Ireland medal. You might have them dreams, but history tells you otherwise. So look, maybe it's maybe you get more people in to play because they feel that they have a chance of winning something, you know. So it'll probably come down to individuals and how they see things. So look, that's what I'd say about it. But I think, you know, it's been difficult for the last number of years with Limerick to hold fellas playing, because I suppose they felt that there was nothing there for them, and the commitment levels have gone way above where they were back in the 70s and 80s, and
it's all changed.
Before that, you know. So people are not going to give up that little time in their lives without some form of reward. And sometimes you have to look at the reward goes about developing yourself as a person and challenging yourself as a person.
There's another journey there outside of winning cups.
There is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great stuff, Billy. We're running out of time. Thanks a million for coming on, and again, compliments to the Limerick seniors and paying a lovely tribute to your late mum. Thanks a million.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Great stuff, of course. That's Billy Lee, Limerick football manager. We've plenty more after this break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie, leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
You're very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. Of course, later in the show we'll have the draw for the Garvey's Senior Hurling Championship. I still have Denny Long John Kennedy, Liam Brosnan in studio. Those comments coming flying through to us. Pat in Trelly says, if Kerry keep playing like they did the weekend, we will get nowhere. He would like to ask the panel, who would they swap on the field if they were to be playing this weekend too? We need to stop messing around and get serious if we want to win anything. We didn't have much experience in 1975 and it worked out okay, and that comes from Tom. I've gone to nearly all of the Kerry games in the last 4 decades, but in the last 10 years we can't last 70 minutes. Our second halves are dire. Our last 2 games were against Division 2 and Division 3. We were well beaten in both halves. I doubt if we can build up a huge first half lead against the Super 8s teams, then I'm afraid we'll be hammered. Where's our stamina and composure gone? Mick in Listowel. Liam, I suppose a fair point that we probably run out of seeing. The game has changed. Like, the game is a frantic pace. Because if you go back and look at a video of the golden years and look at the boys, the movement now, I'm not talking about the football
the ball
skills,
move more
the
than
ball
the play,
movement. It's frightening.
Yeah. Now, if you look at every team, and if we're getting back to teams running at defences and causing trouble, every team, if you run at any defence, you're going to cause trouble to him, and that's the way the game has gone. Like when like Denny said at the start of the show, when your cornerback is coming up and kicking 1-1, like there weren't many cornerbacks in the golden years coming up kicking 1-1. The whole thing, the whole dynamic, even if you watch the goalkeeper kicking out the ball the last day, the Cork goalkeeper and the Kerry goalkeeper, the movement, you could see there was homework, there was a lot of work being put into it, the structure and the stuff like that. It's just it's gone, and I don't know if it's for the good or the bad, because sometimes, like Denny made a very good point, that you can overcoach a fella as well, and they kind of get frazzled a small bit, and sometimes players do like that. But the game, going back to...
It's so intense.
Yeah.
Liam, and you mentioned there about goalkeepers, and I was chatting to John earlier today, John Kennedy, beside you, off air, and we were talking about goalkeepers, like Stephen Cluxton.
Yeah.
If a guy is taking a free, even though Meath couldn't put it over the bar yesterday, if a guy is taking a free, the minute he's on his approach to the ball, Cluxton is gathering the ball,
and he's out,
as we say, under his axter, and he's put it out, and it's going to the next play. It's that even is a tight margin. It's something that I suppose we have to do with speed as well.
Exactly. And even if we go back to the Meath and Dublin game yesterday, like if Meath could score yesterday, that game would have been close, maybe up to the last 10 or 15 minutes of the game. Dublin would probably have won it, but like Meath at half time should have been level, if not up a point or two. You know, so we're on about Dublin, but running away with teams. Dublin are running away with probably the lower division teams, all right. But what I'd be hoping is that when Kerry and the likes of meet the likes of Dublin, that we can match them with scores. If you match Meath with scores, and if we can get our defensive structure right, then with a bit of communication, get the right fellas in the right positions, you never know on a given day. On a given day, you never know. But it's just experience. I think we're going in the right direction.
We're definitely going in the right direction. Hi Tim, the 3 goals conceded at Cork were terrible in any matter into county football. The level of defender required for the county football right now, and it's the Achilles heel of all other talented players that we have. Derek Clune in Shannon, County Clare. David Moore, as your panel said, is one of the more experienced players. Is it just me, or does the panel feel that he consistently runs into tackles and then ends up losing the ball 9 times out of 10? Should he not at this stage know better than that? Tralee listener, that's a bit harsh, isn't it, John?
I think it is, Tim. You know, everybody loses ball at times, but I think David...
I think he was one of the reasons why we won the game the last day. Because he stood up with Stephen O'Brien at a time.
Yeah. As we said earlier off the air, Tim, you know, when we needed, we dug deep in the last 10, 12 minutes, whatever it was left, when Paul Gainey got his second booking. Stephen O'Brien, Shawnee Shea, David Clifford, David Morton, they lifted their game and they took it on to Cork. You know, and that's a great sign of Kerry, because they had the composure to do it, but they had the experienced guy in the middle, David Morton, and he pulled the strings, like Denny said, and he orchestrated what was happening, particularly when those around him, you know, were under pressure down a man.
Denny, let's talk about the real good things that happened as far as Kerry is concerned. Kicking 119 for a start is no mean feat.
No, like the one thing that Kerry have, and this present team have it as well, is that they have plenty of players to kick scores.
Correct.
Points in particular. Like, I remember not so long ago when Tomas Shea was bombing up the field and kicking the ball over the bar, and whoever was commentating on the RTE side, they were astounded that a fellow with number 7 in his back, or number 5 he was wearing, that he could kick the ball over the bar. Kerry cornerbacks like young Tom Sullivan was happy coming up. He's actually happier up the field than back playing cornerback.
Would you play him centre forward?
You see, Kerry have plenty. There's plenty of Tom Sullivan.
But if you were moving your Shawnee Shea to midfield, he loves to run into the heart of a defence.
You could play him anywhere because he has plenty of ability.
He's a good ball player.
He's a good ball player. He's plenty of ability. You give him a sniff of the goals, or a sniff of the post, and he'll put it over the bar. Kerry don't have a problem with scoring. Kerry's big problem, as we've gone through it for a number of weeks and months and years, is that Kerry don't have the backs that Kerry normally would have. Now, you might say, and you know, to throw a spanner in the works, is the coaching going on in the county Are they coaching backs? Are they bringing...
Are we saying underage level now?
I'm talking about underage level, development squads. You know, they're starting now at 12 and 13 years of age. Are we developing players to play at the back from number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7 for Kerry? It looks like we're not. Is everybody want to be like Colm Cooper? Colm Cooper was the hero for the last 10 or 12 or 14 years. Do they all want to be Colm Coopers? Do all the players now want to be David Clifford? I don't know, but are the coaches looking specifically at developing players from a young age? Now, I'm not a great believer in the development squads. I think a player is better off with his club, let the coaches within his club develop him and called into the Kerry under 17s at 16 years of age or whatever and go from there. Maybe you're putting players in too young, the mind is getting tired, they're becoming robots in lots of ways, but certainly the coaching system within the Kerry structures, maybe they have to look at developing what we consider to be backs.
John Kennedy, robots, he said robotic, the word has been mentioned more than once this weekend. Going back to what Denny said about underage, and there's brilliant coaches involved in because we wouldn't have all-Ireland titles at minor level because of that. But I suppose every young fella, when he sees David Clifford, he wants to be a David Clifford. He sees the Paul Gainey's of this world. I suppose defenders in the past, even your era, there were no nonsense. The challenge for them was to keep their man scoreless. But will you make the headlines now if you just keep your man scoreless rather than you going up the field and kicking the ball over the bar?
Not really, Tim. You know, I mean, we spoke about Paul Murphy there earlier on. Was he on the ball as much as usual the last night? No. What did his man do? Very little.
But that's the point.
But like, if you spoke to people coming out of the game or afterwards, Paul Murphy wasn't in the game, and I'm just not picking out Paul because...
But is that because they were comparing Paul Murphy when he went up the field and kicked the ball over the bar to what he did?
Absolutely, Tim. And you know, like...
But isn't that a compliment then to our Kerry management the last day that if Paul Murphy went out and did that job and did it... I wouldn't care if Paul Murphy didn't touch the ball for the whole of the game if he could keep his man scoring.
Same as that, Tim. I think that if you hold your man and he doesn't score and you nullify the man, that's a victory. That's a box tick for your advantage. But of course, the guys that look at the man of the match in most games in hurling and football, 'tis the guy that'll get the scores. You know, his name is up on lights the following day. There's nothing about, was there much made of Tadhg Morley's superb block the last night?
Yeah, correct.
No, there wasn't.
You'll be talking about the scores on the other side.
But they're talking about the scores we got at the other side and that Cork got. But Tadhg Morley's block was crucial. And 'twas an old-fashioned block down and 'twas superb because he shouldn't have got it, but he did. And that was a brilliant block down. And I've no doubt that in time we will have the defenders, because look, we mentioned the Seamus Miners, the Tomas Sheas, all these guys, look. But they had to start off too.
Of course.
And they had bad days. And there were days they were taken to the cleaners. But there's only one place to learn, inside the white lines. And we will improve from it. And I'll tell you, down the road, look, we will be tough. On a day, we'll be tough not to crack. Are we good enough? Maybe not, but we're going in the right direction.
Is that a good psyche then? There's a dangle being, dangling carrots, as he at the moment, for Kerry backs. Because I suppose we're going to be focusing on our backs over the next couple of games, that if they work well as a unit, then suddenly the whole county is in love with him. We never think we had a problem. So that's there for Kerry. I think it's a huge positive.
Yeah, it's a massive positive. And like we said, we weren't beat. No, we have guys that are after getting another Munster a Munster title, and they're after gaining experience. They don't fall off trees. And when you look at our defenders, they're good footballers. They're very good footballers. Denny was on about trying to the old teeth defending and stuff like that. We said it, and we're saying it 7 or 8 times tonight. The game has changed. The day of kicking the ball into a big full forward, how often would we see it now in the game? It just doesn't happen anymore. We did it ourselves with Kieran Donaghy, and then we were in here nights after saying, why are we kicking the ball into Kieran Donaghy when he's not winning it? So that has changed. So I just think it's just a little bit of experience, for the likes of Gavin White, when he gets past the halfway line, that we have a centre back saying, right, I'm going organising, that's my job. Gavin has gone up the field with the ball, and then when Gavin's up the field with a bit of experience, he's going to say, well, I'm not going to turn over the ball this time. I'll kick it into David Clifford when I get past the halfway line. Yeah. Next time I'll take it a bit further and I'll kick a score myself. It'll come in time because we have good footballers, and it like I said, it is going to come.
Yeah, great stuff. Now, Eamon Hickson has made his way out to Lixna, and of course, coming up, we have the Garvey Senior Hurling Draw. And, do a scene set for us there. I take it there's a nice view from both the county board and the local club and the sponsors. I take it, Eamon.
Yeah, hey Tim, welcome here to Snow for the So the draw is about to take place this evening for the first round of the Kerry Super Value County Senior Hurling Championship. Championship was launched at 7 o'clock earlier here in Lixnaw, and the draw is about to go live. Just looking through the teams here. Timmy, Ballyduff, Lixnaw, St. Brennan, Abidorney, Ballyhaig, Meals, Causeway, and we're good to go with the elected council. He's about to get going here. So, Tim, you might go live.
The line is a bit poor there at the moment, Eamon. I might have to come back to you on another line. So that's the Eamon Hickson. We'll quickly, before we go back to Eamon, we'll take a break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry. Brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie. Leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
You're very welcome back here to Terrace Talk. We'll be back in a few moments to Eamon Hickson, but I still have Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in studio as we speak about the weekend's action in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and those comments coming through to us. A Lisbol caller was at the game on Saturday. He says we need to defend facing the ball and not from behind. Mark O'Shea was a great example of this, and the team should learn from it. The defenders need to stick to their position and know their place. It's crazy stuff, really. Lisbol caller, we were in Páirc Uí Chaoimh from 4 p.m. on Saturday. There are no cafes in the area, so we couldn't have a proper cup of tea until we got home at 11:30. There are only 3 forwards playing up to scratch in the Kerry attack. Where is David Shaw, Tomas O'Shea and Tony Brosnan? You being a Brosnan, I'll let that with you, Liam.
I think Tony's
gone to the States.
Tony's gone to the States, yeah.
And Tony probably is very unlucky because he was the top forward in the county championship.
He was, yeah, and I think he was kind of playing good football with the Crokes. I suppose getting to the All-Ireland final with Crokes probably didn't help Tony because he lost out in a lot of the National League games as well. And you'd hear a lot of stories. But look, he's gone over to America now for the summer, so we won't be seeing Tony in the green and gold this year. David Shaw, fine.
I think David is in there.
David's probably in there. You'd have a handful of fellas, the likes of the Liam Carneys, the David Shaws, these guys that are in the background there as well. So it's just I don't think forwards is our problem. So I think we have enough of scoring forwards. I just think it's just the small things.
My opinion is that we need a sweeper. It goes against Kerry tradition that we need to tighten a porous defence. If it's a young team and Kerry fans need to know patience is a virtue. Rome wasn't built in a day. Trevor via Twitter. Don't compare to 75. None of the players were in the gym the next day like the new lads will be after the games all year. Commitment is full time now. Castleinland caller said it's been the worst display of Kerry football ever on a Saturday. Brutal altogether. Loads of schoolboy stuff going on in the midfield. The key is we need Stacks back, John.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't agree with that, Tim, anyway. I think, look, we went down to Cork Saturday evening to play a Cork team that were, the vibes were good coming out of the camp. The vibes were good coming from the team and from the management, and I think they played to that. We won the game. We have problems, as we've already said, to repeat it again, but I've no doubt we can remedy those. Experience is one of the biggest problems, and that will come in time. And I think that, there's a number of key players that we need playing well, and, we have the forwards. If you look at the other games at the weekend, you look at what Conor Cox has done in Roscommon. It's about putting the ball over the bar. If Meath had 1 or 2 key forwards, they'd be closer to Dublin. Dublin have that. That's the yardstick we go by. We have made progress. It's a transition period for Kerry football, and let nobody think otherwise. And, you look through the team, you're lacking experience, you have huge ability, it will come. We have to be patient, and we have to give credit to the players and management. There's huge commitment going in. They got to the league final, were beaten, they won a Munster title, they're in the Super 8s. There's much more we can do now.
A lot of teams would love to win a provincial final, but in Kerry I suppose we're very demanding. Our biggest problem is centre field, Dinny, it says here on a text. Simple as that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I think, with the shot kick out now, centre field is being nullified to a certain extent now. You still will get the odd.
Who won midfield on Saturday?
I think it broke pretty even. I think, I suppose, from a Cork's point of view, Maguire had no bearing whatsoever in the game from what I could say. I was very impressed by Hanlon for Cork. I thought he played very well. He surprised me in the sense that I had him mixed up with a different guy, but an overall a very good footballer. Jack Barry didn't seem to be in the game. Jack seemed to be,
Jack is better than that, though.
I think he is, and obviously he didn't play against Clare, and he seems to be a fella that's a bit prone to injury. I don't know anything about the boy. I think his trademark when he came on the scene first was going down the middle and kicking the ball over the bar. That disappeared for some reason. I don't know what the reason. Maybe again it's going back to the coaching. Maybe he's not allowed to. I have no idea. But he had a poor game by his own standards. I thought again that David Moran, as I thought myself in the last 15 minutes when Kerry were a man down, I thought David Moran did well. David Moran, has suffered very bad injuries. Apparently he's a knee, which isn't very good. He still probably carries number one midfielder. You can't expect miracles, but that's the reality of it. And I think, like the two lads said, any other county would love to have what success Kerry have had, even over the last 12 months. But Kerry are only interested in the Sam Maguire. Now, they have to be a bit patient. And, all of us in Cork and all the other counties, we're delighted in a way because, Kerry had it so easy. Well, I won't say so easy, but they were dominating football, similar to Dublin. But now Dublin are the kingpins, and of course the Kerry supporters.
It's upset us.
And Kerry are a bit obsessed with it. If Dublin win the 5 in a row, they'll be a bit more obsessed with it. But you can't expect to have the Dara Sheas or the Jack O'Sheas or the Mikey Sheehy's or the Bomber and all these fellas coming through every...
You won't have it every year.
It just don't happen.
Denny alluded there to the midfield thing that, David Moran is our key midfield. But we watched in the game against Clare, the Gary Brennan when he went out in the second half, and likewise Cathal O'Connor, that they ran at us, The same against the last day with Ian Maguire. Let's talk about the Super 8s, the potential opposition. Anything we've one definite. We have a game at Donegal in the second.
We've two maybes.
Two maybe, yeah. Donegal in Croke Park.
Yeah, but it's looking like probably Galway at home in the first game, or whoever beats Galway. So a lot will depend on the draw after the next. That's
very interesting. This morning's draw.
Yeah.
So Clare playing Westmeath, aren't they?
They're playing Westmeath. Armagh or Mayo.
Mayo, tough game.
That's a tough game. Yeah. So we potentially could if Mayo draw Meath in the next round and Mayo beat Meath, so we could have Galway, Mayo, and Donegal.
Galway, Mayo, yeah.
But
nothing is set in stone with those two teams. And likewise, our third game, this away, there's no. It's not defined as just a Meath opposition.
No, it's whoever beats Meath in the qualifying game. So it's going to be a tough format. And you're completely dependent on injuries and stuff like that. So you're going to need a panel. We saw last year where you will need a panel. It's week in, week out. It's like the Hurling Munster Championship. Now you saw a lot of teams struggle with injuries. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But I do think that if it's Galway, I think Galway will suit us. Galway are not a running team. I think we'll manage Galway all right.
And under Kev Walsh, they'll go very defensive.
They go very defensive.
They're not going to change now.
They're not going to change now. It's too late. I know the Tyrone man is gone from them all right, but I think they're struggling, and I think the Connacht Championships, probably is after putting them back a small bit. Donegal above in Croke Park that'll probably be the tie of the game of the Super 8 for us. I think that's going to be a big one for us.
But you never know in Croke Park. There's no place to hide in Croke Park either. So
no place to hide in Croke Park. Yeah. And the one good thing in Croke Park, you can't make Croke Park small either. So we should have enough legs as well for the Croke Park. And then Meath in the last, if it is Meath or whoever it is,
we should be capable.
We're away. You should be capable.
John Kennedy, it's very important, I suppose, from a supporter point of view, that we have a game in Fitzgerald Stadium because we didn't get off to a great start in the Super 8s last year. Now we have, it's in our own making. Very important, and we'll talk about the team in a while, but the support should be huge in Fitzgerald Stadium for this one.
Yeah, it'll be a good day, Tim. Regardless who it is, it's the first game. It's vital to win your first game, because you're going to Croke Park to play Donegal then in the second game, and if you have 2 points under your belt, that's a huge one. Regardless how the Donegal game will go, then you're playing then in the last
like
game.
Safety net.
It is. Yeah. So it's vital, and the home game at the start. That's why provincial champions, you're guaranteed a home game at the start. That's vital.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll now take a break.
Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry, brought to you in association with BrianJames.ie, leading the way for stylish menswear in Kerry.
I still have Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan in the studio. Denny, would you make any changes to the Kerry first 15? The text has come in here.
Yeah, obviously there will be a few changes, Tim. I think
in personnel or positional?
I'd say both. I think that the management obviously will go away, and the video analysis now is huge as well, so they'll look at the whole thing, and I'm not so sure in the sense that whereas Cork's form, certainly the graph definitely came up, and the spirit and the commitment was marvellous. I'm not so sure that Kerry will be too disappointed with it, in the sense that they got a test, and I suppose the big test came when they were down to 14 and they weathered that storm and they got their 3 or 4 points. But I think overall that they definitely will look at the whole team, and not so much the whole team, but certainly I don't think they're still satisfied that they have the balance right. The thing about Gavin White, obviously they're going to have a look and say to Gavin, you just can't be running up the field and running into cul-de-sacs. But there isn't that much to commend him. So basically, you may have 1 or 2 changes, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, that could happen. In a word, John, can Kerry reach a semi-final? We know now that we have our middle game, and we have our first game is in the Super 8s is at home. We have a serious chance of making the semi-final.
There's no doubt, Tim. Look, we were the top 2 in the league. Look, in Division 1, in a very competitive division, we've won a Munster title. We're in there on merit now, Tim, and the top 2 will go through to the semi-final. I think we have every chance, and I think with a bit of reshuffling and getting our defensive structure right, I think that we're going to be difficult to beat, because we have the forwards to get scores, and I think, Tim, Croke Park will suit us, the open spaces. We have the legs. It's just to get our defend as a unit better and maybe close down that area. It's not impossible.
But we can do it. Liam, a quick word on our minors. Of course, so much going on tonight. We didn't have the allocated time, but you'd have to congratulate James Costello, his management team. It was a lovely game of football. 2 teams going right at it.
Fantastic game of football. If you sit back and watch it, there was just there was genuine mistakes made in it, honest mistakes made in it from both sides. But they just kept going from pillar to post, and from goals to goals. And at one stage, it looked like everyone was just going to go for goal. But I think that's where the age limit probably comes into it as well, Tim. It's like I said, I've said it here before. It's like under 16 football. The mistakes that they're made, they're very innocent mistakes, and they just keep making the same mistakes. But it was a massive win by Kerry. I think James Costello and the management team,
they did very well, because there was a few problem areas in the field, and he didn't waste any. Correct.
They rectified it very quick. Yeah, they rectified it very quick. You could even see him in the sideline. The whole lot from were coming together, and they moved around, and they got everything right. And like I said earlier, I think both management teams between senior and minor would have taken a point win.
Yeah, you're after winning the Munster title.
It was their first Munster title, even for that under 17 team. It was their probably bar 1 or 2 of them. It's their first time getting a Munster minor medal. Or any Munster medals.
An exciting few weeks ahead for us.
Few weeks ahead. Plenty of football.
Yeah, those last few comments coming through us. Why did the Kerry number 8 have to hold on to his opposite number each time? A past mid-Kerry player said it's not football anymore, it's handball, a joke. Is Killian Young available at the minute? He and Crowley were 2 big losses. I think that Jack Barry could be moulded into centre-back, and Sean O'Shea to midfield, and James O'Donoghue on the 40 with Tommy Walsh. Kerry will be taken apart by Mayo, Donegal, Tyrone and Dublin. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I think Kerry are developing nicely. Hi Tim. Kerry scored 119 against decent opposition, and Dublin only scored 117 against a poor opposition. Isn't that lovely to end on that note tonight? We're Kerry. We will be there. I want to thank everyone involved that contributed to this programme, especially you guys on the panel tonight. It's been a long night for you lads. Thanks to Denny Long, John Kennedy and Liam Brosnan. Also to everybody who contributed. Of course, coming up after the news, the team for that junior game in Porcureen on Wednesday night will be announced. Kerry juniors, under the guidance of Jimmy Keane, will be taking on Cork. It's off to Cork again, and there'll be live reports throughout the evening of that game as well. I want to thank to everybody who phoned and texted and emailed us tonight. It's been a very busy show. Many thanks to Eamon Hickson, who is out in Lixnaw. Of course, we have to confirm that those games again: Kilmiley versus Causeway, Ballyduff versus Crot O'Neill's, Ballyhige versus Lixnaw, and Abbey versus St. Brendan's. They are the first round games played to be played the 6th and 7th of July. Matthew Green was on sound tonight. He was doing everything. His hands were on the phone, his hands were pressing buttons. He kept it all alive and going well. Many thanks to you, Matthew Green. All that I can say, until next time, this is Tim Moynihan saying goodbye.